find and seek out and say, hey, thank you for helping me follow Jesus this year. Thank you for helping remind me of why I follow Jesus. Would you help me again this coming year? And so we want to create some space here this morning for some people to move around. Kids, this involves you as well. There's nobody's off limits in terms of age, right? So let's move around the building. Let's thank one another for the investment and involvement that we have in each other's lives. There may only be time for you to find 2 or 3 people, but let's make sure we seek them out and give thanks to them this morning. Away you go.
Okay, if you want to begin to make your way back to your seats, that'll be wonderful. Cool, you're a good-looking bunch of people, aren't you? How privileged we are at New Life. We certainly have a lot to be thankful for. Brilliant. Well, if you've been around New Life for the past month, maybe, throughout December, you will be aware that this coming week is a week of prayer here at New Life. We want to start the year off strong. We want to start the year off dedicating it to God, dedicating ourselves to God. And so starting tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., we are kicking off our week of prayer. Me and Elena are very excited about this. But I know there's been quite a lot of information, so I thought I'd just run through a couple of things so that nobody is confused and you get to next week and be like, oh, I really missed out. So I'm going to tell you about the week of prayer. So every morning this week, Monday through to Friday, we have built or created a prayer lounge. So you can come for the full hour or 10 minutes on your way to work or whatever works for you. 7 a.m. until 8 a.m. There will be coffee and pastries and fruit, so you don't need to grab your breakfast first. And that will just be a really relaxed space there where you can come either to sit quietly and pray or maybe to bring a friend and pray together. We're just going to go with the flow of those prayer lounges in the mornings. That's Monday to Friday. Then on Saturday morning at 9 a.m., we are running a prayer breakfast. And at that one, there'll be bacon and sausage butties, okay? And then we'll pray together. So that's Saturday. Don't come expecting bacon butties tomorrow. You'll be a little bit disappointed. There's croissants, etc. tomorrow, but on Saturday, there's a prayer breakfast. Then on Monday night, every day, Monday to Friday, we've got Zoom at noon, okay? So the Zoom details will be coming out for that later on. So this is literally half an hour on Zoom that you can log on, spend some time praying together. There's a different theme each day, and that'll be a really great thing. Monday afternoon, we've got a prayer space. So this room is going to be set out as a prayer space. There'll be different prayer stations to help you creatively pray. There'll be stuff for families that you can access. That's open tomorrow afternoon. All the details, I forgot to put the slide up on there. We've not got the slide, have we, Dan? Okay, we'll make sure we email that out this afternoon. This is a prayer space on Monday afternoon. There's a prayer hour tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. That's for all ages. Come, we're going to worship together, pray together, and there'll be some creative prayer there as well. We've got another prayer space on Wednesday afternoon, another prayer space on Friday morning. And then on Thursday evening, we're running our first, what we're calling Night of Presence. And that's simply going to be an opportunity for us to come together as church family to encounter the presence of God. We're going to worship. We're going to see what God has to say. We're going to spend some time praying. So that's Thursday evening. All the details we'll make sure are emailed out via Church Suite this afternoon, if you've not already got them. And they'll be on our Facebook page. But just a couple of extra things to tell you about. Norman, do you want to grab your seat and then you won't miss anything what I'm saying? That's fantastic. I don't want you to miss out. Wherever you were. Where was Norman sitting? Somebody point out? Oh, we got in there. Perfect. Each day of the week, this week, we've themed to give some kind of focus to prayer. So you can pick up one of these wonderful weekly prayer point sheets, which are at the table at the back. There's loads of them, so feel free to take one of them. If you are a family here with kind of children under the age of 11, 12, we've got family packs for Week of Prayer, and they're in these plastic wallets. They're also at the back. You can grab one of them with a lollipop or two if you're a family. So if you're not a family, if you're just an adult, you can grab one of these. If you're a family, they're in these, what do you call these? Plastic wallet things at the back. And then one more thing is that Jim Musgrave has designed various prayer walks around Scunthorpe, around our local community. And if that is something that you would like to do, to take part in a prayer walk, again, on the table at the back, there's some instructions from really what prayer walking is, how to do it, not literally one foot in front of the other, but why, how to pray when you're doing a prayer walk. And then there are lots of different routes all around Scunthorpe of walks that you can do and pray as you do them. If you would like to do that, what we're asking is that rather than taking the route, if you can take a photo of the route you want to do, and then you can take an instruction sheet, and then you've got it on your phone as a record of where you want to walk. We would love you to get walking in our community, praying the goodness of God over our community. So there's lots of different routes that are highlighted in yellow. If you want to do your own, that's absolutely fine. But this week there are a gazillion ways that you can get involved in prayer. So can I encourage you, plug in, come as a family, come at the times that are available, come and encounter God, come and speak and pray blessing over this next year as a church. Does that all sound okay? Yes, it does. Fantastic. Oh, I'm going to hand you over to Elena now.
There's me expecting a video of church news, and Dina was the church news this week. Brilliant. So I'm going to invite 3 of my amazing girlies up to the stage. So can we give a big round of applause, please, for Erin, Isabel, and Evie as they make their way to the stage. Fabulous. Come and sit down. You can all squeeze on the brown sofa together. Brilliant. Squeeze up. That's it. Fab. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes chatting with these lovely girls because we want to share with you something that started last year, something that we really felt was important in terms of discipleship going forward for especially our young people and children, and then for us leading into adulthood. So as adults, we have got small groups available to us. Whether you access one of those or not is your choice. However, there are plenty of small groups available. And I've been part of an adult small group for 7 years since we started coming here, and love being part of my small group, love the people that we get to be part of, and realised that there was a little bit of a gap. And so last year we're sort of praying and trying to figure out what to do in the midst of this gap, that as soon as our young people sort of left NLK, that unless they came out on a Friday night and sort of could manage sitting in church on a Sunday morning, there wasn't actually a lot available for them in terms of discipleship. And so in terms of church discipleship, I get that families do stuff at home. And so I, spur of the moment, which is my nature, made a decision that we would start an NLY small group, specifically for year 6 to year 8s at the time. And I managed to wrangle in Jess Carpenter and Rachel Delaney to come and help me. And we started every other week, we started an NLY small group for the younger youth. And it was one of the best things I got to do last year. These young people have taught me so much about the nature and the goodness of God. And in turn, they've learned a lot, not from me. We use online resources. We've done Youth Alpha. We're doing a Bible course at the minute together. They come with their notebooks and their Bibles and their pens, and they have questions, and they put me on the spot, and I sit there going, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. Hold on, let me phone a friend because I'm stuck. And I wanted you to get the chance to see and hear from the young people themselves what we get up to. So here they are. We've got Erin, Isabel, and Evie. We've got about 10 of us that meet regularly at the minute. Of course, that might change after today because some of you might go, I've got a young person that age. I'd like them to join. This is the chance that you can hear about that. We do also have a Year 9 Plus small group that has started as well. So if you've got young people in that age group and you want them to get seriously into the Bible and into what it means to follow Jesus, these are great groups to be part of. So, hello. You all okay? You feeling nervous? You're all right. They're a nice bunch, really. They're all smiling at you, aren't you? Okay. So, I'm going to ask you all the same question, and you can all give me your answer, all right? So first thing first, what do you love the most about youth small group?
Well, we always have really funny moments and everything, and I really like that because it just it just makes me feel like, because I can only see my friends from church ready like on Sundays, so I feel like I can just like be myself, be my crazy self, because all my friends are there and I know most of the people.
I enjoy small group because I get to bond with my friends and it's really fun and I get to joke around with them.
They do a lot of joking around. They have us in stitches every single week.
I like the atmosphere of small group. Like, it's so chilled and everybody can like talk about what they don't understand and what they understand about God, and we can ask loads of questions that sometimes Elena can answer.
Sometimes Elena can answer. Sometimes Elena just downright refuses. And she goes, let me go and find someone that knows the answer and I'll come back next time. Brilliant. So we've got a nice atmosphere. We enjoy being together. It's a very girl-heavy group at the minute, isn't it? So I think we've got 7 girls and 3 boys in the group. 4 boys. 4 boys, 6 girls. Sorry, counting wrong. Dara's in the old one. Yeah, it's all right. We're just having a discussion. It's fine. 4 boys, 6 girls. And the poor boys often sit when the girls have gone slightly hyperactive and sort of go, what's going on? Bless them. They do really well. So the second thing I want to ask you is something that you've learnt at small group over the last year.
I've learned that God will follow all of us forever and ever and ever. And that He's with everybody, even if you don't love God.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. I have to say, Erin has some of the most amazing questions at small group. She'll literally sit and write them down, and she comes to me with a list of questions. And I sit there and think, I do not know how to answer these, but they so desperately want other people to understand Jesus that they're trying to understand this themselves, and it's a really beautiful moment. Isabel, what have you learnt this year?
I've learnt a lot of the characteristics of the Bible.
Good girl. That's what we've been learning about the characteristics of the Bible. So that's good. Well done. We've been using the Bible Project, haven't we? YouTube videos. Brilliant. And Evie?
Well, kind of the same as Isabel, but like I've learned that the Bible is like one big story, and that if you look close enough, like they all link together.
I didn't teach them that. Okay? I'm learning, honestly, learning so much. Okay, my final question then for you is, how has small group helped you in your relationship with Jesus?
I think it's helped me be a bit more confident, because everyone is just there with me, and I just feel like I can ask anything I want, because I feel like everyone's just there to help you.
Yeah. Very good. Isabel?
I feel a bit more secure in sharing what I think about Jesus. And
Brilliant.
I feel like I can share it more with people because I know more about it, and like I can trust God with stuff.
Very good. Very good. And we in small group, we don't judge anyone's questions, do we? Anyone can ask whatever questions they need to ask. And sometimes we don't have answers, and sometimes we do have answers. But we're just learning together. And so I would love to encourage you, if you've got a young person in year 6 up to year 8, every other Monday night at my house, we do small groups. So tomorrow's our first one back in the new year. We're going to hopefully meet here for the prayer hour and then go to my house for small group. If you've got a young person in that age group, we'd love them to come and join us. And if you've got a young person in year 9 to year 12, so up to 17, there's a small group that runs for them every other week on a Wednesday as well. It's a great opportunity, one, for them to build community, because it's quite hard as a teenager to build community sometimes. And 2, it's a great opportunity to learn more about who Jesus is in a really safe environment where the people that are there to help them love Jesus. And so you're not going to get some wacky conspiracy theory. You're not going to get some weird and wonderful, yeah, but there's Jesus and there's... No. Jesus is the answer, and we're going to walk this journey with him. So thank you very much, you 3, for being brave enough to interview with me on the stage. Some beautiful answers. Parents, you should be proud of these girls and the rest of the small group. I can't help but cheer them on. Well done. Thank you very much. You can go.
Wasn't that amazing? So we are going to invite some adults up now. Don't worry, they're pre-prepped. I'm not going to just drop on anybody. To really, as one of the things you'll know we do as a church is we like to celebrate what people get up to in their week. We call it This Time Tomorrow. So this time tomorrow, where will you be? What will you be doing? And as a team, we were talking about today, what might that look like? And we really want to look at, over this last year, how have things been? In your walk with Jesus over this last year, what kind of things have you learned? What kind of things have you grown in? And also in this coming year, what kind of things are you hoping for? Not in terms of getting fitter or, starting a new, stopping something or starting something, but in your walk with Jesus over this next year, what are you hoping for? And so would you put your hands together and welcome to the stage Angie, Hayley, Mercy, and Daniel. Thank you. Come on up, ladies. You have to squidge in. Lovely. That's it. Squidge up so Hayley can. I couldn't find a 3-seater, sorry. So we've got a 2-seater, but it's lovely. Don't get too comfortable there, ladies. You've got to stay awake for this. So, first of all, I've obviously just told everybody your names. So we've got Angie, Mercy, Hayley, and Daniel on the end. Tell us one thing that you got for Christmas that you really loved.
Ooh, that I got for Christmas. Dave and I got a lovely gift from Oscar, from our son, and it was a paid meal in a restaurant that we really enjoy going to.
Very nice.
So we booked a bit of a date night for us.
Ooh, get you. Very nice. Mercy, something that you got for Christmas that you really loved.
Okay, I got, it's quite dicey for me because my birthday is still December, and so many people that gave me gifts for my birthday is like, okay, it's for Christmas as well.
Oh, no. We can't have joint birthday and Christmas. You deserve separate presents, but off you go. We'll deal with that at a different time.
Yeah, but my friend in Watford, she got me a Snoddle sleeping clothes, Snoddle, this very cozy one.
Oh,
I love it.
Nice.
I love it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so she's the one that separated birthday gifts from Christmas
From Christmas gift. We love that friend. Love that friend. Do you want to pass the microphone? And Hayley, what did you get?
I got a whole bunch of different things, but I really love the candles that I got.
Can't go wrong with a good candle.
Aromatherapy, so it's like sort of mood lifting or calming and relaxing.
Nice. Candles. And Daniel, did you get many candles for Christmas? Aromatherapy candles?
Actually, I didn't. I do like a good candle though, but not for Christmas this year. No.
Okay, what did you get?
I got a book called The Jesus Way by Eugene Peterson, which is on my reading list for this year. I'm very much looking forward to getting into. But on top of that, I don't want to sort of make it slightly cheesier, but actually the people I got to spend Christmas with this year were by far the best part of my Christmas. So
you are cheesy, Daniel, but we'll let you off.
There was my family and my in-laws. I mean, to say that spending Christmas with your in-laws is a positive thing, come on.
That's good.
And they're not here, so that's all right. And actually, Bill Wright, who's here this morning, spent Christmas Day with us as a family, and Bill was one of my highlights of Christmas.
Great.
So as a human being, the man is a gift, right? To not just to us,
but
to
Bill.
so many.
That's really good. So obviously today is all about Thanksgiving, and for us as disciples, as us as followers of Jesus. So Angie, can you tell me, sort of over this last year, whether it's one specific thing or a specific situation or just like a general trend, what have you learned or how have you grown in your walk with Jesus?
Okay, so I made notes on that because there was a few things that I felt were relevant. So I've learned so much about the background of running a church, which has been a bit of an eye-opener because it's been the first year as central administrator. So it's a total contrast to what I've done before. So I've learned a lot in my walk with Jesus through that. And developing a role that's turned out to be rather different to the job description. I think Dan will probably agree with that. Also this year when Dave and I put down Alpha, that then gave me the opportunity and the space to then take on my own small group. So I have a ladies group on a Friday morning with some fantastic women. It is truly a blessing to walk with Jesus with these ladies on their journey as well. I've brought on a couple of new apps to enhance my prayer journey. The Church of England app the daily prayer app, which has been really poignant for my growth, growing of people skills, learning about myself while leaning into Jesus. But I feel that he's obviously still moulding me, and I'm still a work in progress.
Yeah, that's great.
But I've really enjoyed developing in that way through walking with Jesus.
That's great, and I love that because a lot of that is kind of the ordinary, everyday, but Jesus is there with you, which is a beautiful thing. Mercy, what about for you? What have you learned or grown in your walk with Jesus this year?
Okay, if I had known, I would have written it down.
No,
as well.
you do you. You don't. You just speak you, Mercy.
I've not made notes. It's fine. You're all right.
Yeah, well, it's easy for me to say I love Jesus and I'm a child of God and I do God very well. But it became really practical in my life as God gave me a husband. Yeah. So God gave me a husband in order for me to see practically how my walk with God has been. So with the, will I say, course of getting married, I've learned patience.
All right, Alan, we just note all disclaimers here. I don't know what she's about to say, but you've clearly taught Mercy patience this year. So read into that what you will, church, okay?
Yeah, last year I've learned patience. I've learned to accommodate. And, you know, human beings are quite selfish in nature. We are selfish, but I've learned selflessness as well. So I'm not living for myself alone. Sometimes there's things I want to do by myself. I don't want him around me. I just want to be alone. But yeah, we are in this together. And I've learned to accommodate him. I've learned to love him. I've learned to be selfless. So I see some of the fruit of the Holy Spirit being practical in my life as I walk with him.
That's really
as
good.
well, yeah. So, yeah, sometimes, see, practically, I want to sleep because I've got work tomorrow. I didn't sleep early enough. I want to sleep, but he's there and he wants to cuddle.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm like, oh
Okay,
my
let's
God.
not go too far on this. We've got children in the room today.
Yeah, I know. Like, there's that presence of somebody there, and I'm like, get your hands off me. But, yeah. but I can't. So I've learned to accommodate. I've learned to love. I've learned to be patient. And, yeah, to work with him. And, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Hayley, I'm going to move on to you. Whew.
How do I follow that?
Yeah, how do you follow that? You do you. We'll each do ourselves. Hayley, something you've learned. Compose yourselves now, church. Compose yourselves. Something you've learned in your walk with Jesus this year.
That he's with me no matter what.
That's great.
I started last year. Those of you that were here last January know that I had my baptism.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I chose to get baptized then was I was at a really low point in my life.
Mm.
I'd moved up here the year before to start a new job. In the summer, I contracted COVID, which turned to long COVID.
Mm.
It affected many organs and systems in my body, and I was in a lot of pain and very low.
Mm.
My whole of my life had closed down. I'd lost my job through being unwell.
Mm.
And during that time as well, my mum passed away.
Mm.
And I just wanted to give up. But I just felt that I didn't want to harm myself in any way.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt the only way was to start afresh and anew. So
That's
last
great.
year, at the beginning of the year, I just decided to get baptized and to
Amazing.
invite him back into my life and start my journey again.
Amazing. Amazing. It's really good. And what has been some of the good that you've learned about Jesus in that?
He's patient.
Mm-hmm.
He's gentle. And he helps you move forward
That's great.
at a pace that you are ready, one step at a time.
Love that. That's really great. And I think, Hayley, what a great story that actually things weren't so great at the start of the year, that it was tough, that you weren't in a good place. But I love that you made that decision. Actually, I am, like we've been talking about today, I am going to dedicate my life. I am going to follow him. And something Paul Sillabon just shared with me is that, again, similar to what Dave shared, actually, God is always there. He's always with us. It's us who need to choose to follow him. It's not that he loses us and we've got to find him. He's always there. And it's us who go off meandering around. But like Hayley, to actually make that decision, I am choosing to follow Jesus. I am choosing to dedicate my life to him. That's amazing. Thanks, Hayley. Dan, something for you that you learnt in your following of Jesus last year?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I came into last year having sort of put some pieces together in my own life and come to the realisation, and this might sound very simple, but it was quite a big thing for me at the time, was there's a big difference between knowing about Jesus and knowing Jesus, right? And there's a big difference between believing in Jesus and following Jesus.
That's true.
Right? The second two of those are far more engaged, far more relational, far more active, whereas the other two are slightly more passive. I can know things without doing things, and I can believe things without following that thing. Does that make sense? And so those were sort of my two growing suspicions as I came into last year. So really this last year for me has been a very slow attempt to start trying to close the gap between those things, between simply knowing about Jesus and coming to a place where I feel like I know him better, and then coming to a place of not just believing certain things about Jesus, but trying my best to follow him, practically speaking, every day of my life.
Really
because
good.
there is, I think the longer you've been a Christian, sometimes the bigger that gap between those two things grows. I think that's certainly been my experience, is that when I first started following Jesus, that was all we seemed to talk about. And then at some point, it shifted from following Jesus to believing certain things about him. And that gap began to grow. And I'd started to realise that and feel that in my own life. So really the last year and a bit now has been a very slow attempt to close the gap between the two.
That's really good. I like that. There's a lot more we can unpack on that we won't today. So one final question for each of you. Looking into the year ahead, coming up, and again, we're not talking kind of fitness goals and things like that, because I'm sure we've all got healthy habits that we want to. But in terms of your following of Jesus, what is it that you're hoping for? What is one thing maybe that you're wanting to implement to help you in this next year to become closer to him? We'll start with you again, Angie.
Yeah, I was really blessed and quite honoured at the end, midway to the end of last year. I'd been asked if I would preach at another church, and I decided to give that a go, and really loved it. And I'd love in this coming year, I'm preaching again next month, but I'd love to kind of have a bit more. When you're preparing a preach and the amount of engagement with the word in a different way to services and prayer, it's a really great way to get those layers on of the word. So I'd like to explore that a little bit more. I've been looking the last few months at doing like some kind of theology course, perhaps Missio Days, somewhere like that. There's not been anything that sort of fits for me or the right days and things at the moment, but I'm sure that'll come.
I'm sure somebody at the back can talk to you about what might be useful there.
Yeah, I've really tried not to bother Mark with this, because he has enough about work when he's at work, but it is something that I've personally been exploring for quite some time, and I'm just waiting for that right fit, but I'd love to go and do something like that. I'm hoping and trying to pray the Jesus prayer daily, to kind of keep that as a bit of a constant in my life, just to pray it daily and constantly, to be a better listener, to be helpful, and trying so hard to be more humble. Not always getting that right, but it's something I'd really love to do. I'd really love to learn to let go and let God, because I'm one of these people, I can quite happily pray and cast my cares to the Lord, and he's got it all, and then a few minutes later I'm taking it back because I want to sort it out. I'm terrible for that, so I'm really trying to do that, and just to remember in that when we pray in the Lord's Prayer, give us this day our daily bread, it's today's. I'm not looking for help over the next few days or next week. It's about being in the moment and being present and dealing with things that you carry daily and trying to work through them and not overload yourself, because personality wise I would tend to do that, so that's really where I want to grow with Jesus, and they're the areas that I'd like to see 2024 develop in.
Brilliant, love them. Really, really great things to aim for. Mercy, tell me something you'd like to grow in.
Okay. Last time we had small group. In our small group, Dina asked how our walk with God has been. And at that time, I had thought only the pastors have walk with God, like they are the ones that have experience, they are the ones that God has taken them from one place and then they are preaching the gospel. So I've seen it like a pastor thing to have this, can you remind me how the question was?
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Slept since then.
Yes, yeah, but basically I had seen it as if it was just the pastors alone that have these challenges of their walk with God and how it has been and all that. So we just basically come to church, listen to the gospel. But I realized during the small group that I am also doing the work of God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. In my job, I'm doing the work of God as a nurse. So it's not just the pastors that are doing the work of God. So I have also learned that I'm doing the work of God. So in this year and the next year coming, I really do want God to help me to live out my convictions, to live out my life for people. I do that. I do that. I share I share the message of Christ to people, and not like preaching to them, but basically how I live my life.
That's great.
So I want God to use me like a showcase and let people see me and, get to have comfort and have hope.
That's great, Mercy.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Just by seeing me, because it's not very easy. The medical personnel are here. It's not easy for you to just go and start preaching to any patient, but just what I cannot say with my mouth, let my life show
amazing.
it. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what I
love that. That's really good. Really, really good. You might not be able to say it with your mouth, but how you live can just shine Jesus. Yeah. Great. Hayley, something you love and would love to learn this year?
Yeah, I think with just like following nature, as in the changing of the seasons, and letting things unfold in their own way and own time.
That's beautiful.
But I particularly like to become better at inviting God into situations through prayer to start with, as opposed to going into situations and then asking him to help when I'm drowning or I've made the wrong choice.
Yeah, bringing him in at the beginning.
At the beginning to guide me.
That's a great goal.
And lastly, to come alongside people of any background in any situation, just as Jesus did. He was just there for them.
That's great. Really love that, Hayley. Really, really great goal. Dan, finally with you, just to wrap up.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I'm wanting to try and build in more regularly. They're things I've sort of done sporadically over the last year, but I'm not trying to do anything new. I'm just trying to add sort of a layer to what I'm already doing. And so one of those things is to build in a regular time of evening prayer. So morning prayer for me has been something that I've done, again, most days. I'm not going to say every day because that would be a lie. And I'm trying to make a habit of not lying on the platform in particular, but generally, it's a good habit to get into. So most mornings over the last year or so, a time of prayer in the morning has been something that I've been building into, and so I'm trying to build into the same sort of rhythm, but in an evening, so that I'm bookending my day, sort of beginning and ending with God, and that's been instrumental to my mornings in particular. And so I'm hoping that I'm keen to see what difference that will make.
Yeah, that's great.
Rather than just sort of running the clock to bedtime and then starting again in the morning, almost beginning again the night before rather than the next day. Yeah. And so I'm not too sure what shape that's going to take or what that will do, but I'm fairly confident it's going to do something. Right? And the other one is something that I've wanted to do for a number of years, and I've kept putting it in my calendar and then kept like nudging it back. is fasting. It's something that I've been wanting to learn more about. And again, in terms of narrowing the gap, at some point I've got to stop reading books about fasting and just like give it a go, right? I know that myself and Jim Musgrave had conversations around this probably a year ago now, Jim, wasn't it? And so this is something that I feel like I've been building towards for a while. But my hope is to develop a more regular. Again, I'm not going to put a time on that. A more regular practice of fasting over the course of this year. So that's my hopes.
That's really great.
We'll see how it goes.
I hope you've been encouraged today by what you've heard, and maybe something sparked off in you thinking, I'd like to do that. You know, discipleship is not just a thing that, well, we come to church and that's it. That's it. Actually, each one of us daily walking with Jesus, daily following him, daily learning more about him. So would you give these guys a huge round of applause as they take their seat? That's great. Don't worry, I'm not preaching for 40 minutes. I just wanted to wrap up just with a thought this morning, and then we're going to share communion together. The book of Genesis, we meet Abram, whose name later changes to Abraham. And God speaks to Abram and says that you are going to be a father of many nations, going to have many descendants. But Abram is old. His wife Sarai, who gets her name changed to Sarah, is old. But God has promised that you will have descendants as numerous as stars in the sky, as numerous as the sand on the seashore. And Abraham and Sarai have this promise and get a little bit impatient. And we read in the book of Genesis in chapter 16, and I haven't got time to read it all now, that Sarai says to Abraham, listen, we're not able to have children. I'm not able to give you children. So here, take my servant Hagar, and you do what you need to do with her, and let's have babies through her. And so they rush what God had promised, and that's what happens. Abraham takes Hagar, and Hagar gets pregnant. Now, Hagar's not totally the innocent party, because the Bible says that she begins to treat her mistress, Sarai, with contempt. She begins to mock her that she's been able to get pregnant, whereas her mistress hasn't. But then it flips a little bit, and I'm just going to read you a few verses from Genesis chapter 16. Sarai said to Abraham, "This is all your fault. I put my servant into your arms, but now that she's pregnant, she treats me with contempt." Abraham replied, "Look, she's your servant, so deal with her as you see fit." So Sarai treated Hagar so harshly that she finally ran away. So here's this servant girl who her mistress has given her to Abram. She's become pregnant, and now Sarai cannot cope with the fact she's in her house, and she treats her so harshly that Hagar feels she has no other option but to run away. And so this woman who is really very poorly treated finds herself alone, finds herself isolated, abandoned, in pain emotionally. And we read, this is what it says: "The angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the wilderness, along the road to Shur. The angel said to her, 'Hagar, Sarai's servant, where have you come from and where are you going?' 'I'm running away from my mistress,' she replied. The angel of the Lord said to her, 'Return to your mistress and submit to her.' Then he added, 'I will give you more descendants than you can count.' The angel also said, 'You are pregnant and will give birth to a son. You are to name him Ishmael, which means God hears, for the Lord has heard your cry of distress.' Thereafter, Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord who had spoken to her. She said, 'You are the God who sees me.' You are the God who sees me." You see, in the Bible, God has different names attributed to him, dependent on the characteristic that we want to kind of draw out from him. And the Hebrew for the name that Hagar gave to God is El Roi, the God who sees me. And I just want to encourage you at the start of this year that he sees you. He sees you. He sees your hopes. He sees your fears. He sees your disappointments. He sees your strengths, your weaknesses. He sees your anxieties. He sees if you feel trapped. He sees if you feel good. He sees you. He is the God who sees you. You might feel abandoned. You might feel forgotten. You might feel like you don't belong. Let me tell you, friends, El Roi, the God who sees you. And as you step into this new year, as you step into a new chapter of life, if you are a follower of Jesus, committed to loving him, he sees you. What a comfort. What a great source of strength knowing he sees me. Other people may not. Other people may misunderstand me. Other people may judge me, but he sees me and he sees my heart. And if you have never said yes to following Jesus, but you want to, what a great opportunity this morning. We're going to come and share communion in just a few minutes. And we're going to come and remember, and we're going to reflect, and we're going to rejoice. We're going to remember that Jesus died on the cross, that he took the punishment for our sin, that he broke the power of sin so that we can live in freedom. We're going to reflect on the joy that that brings. We're going to reflect on the fact that we are forgiven people, that he doesn't hold things over us, but he loves us freely. And we're going to rejoice that we are loved and we are known by the creator of the cosmos. Amazing, amazing to be known by him. And if you've never made that decision, if you've never come to a place of accepting that Jesus died to forgive you, Jesus died to break the power of sin in your life, then you can do that today. And we're going to take communion, and at the end, there's a need to talk banner. You can head there and talk to somebody and say, I want to know what it is to follow Jesus. So we're going to remember together, we're going to reflect together, and we're going to rejoice together. But I want you to remember this. He is the God who sees. Nothing gets missed. Nothing gets forgotten. He's the God who sees you. I'm going to pray, and then feel free, when I've prayed, to take communion. We've got the stations at the front and at the back, as usual. So, Lord God, I thank you that you are the God who sees. I thank you that you are the God who knows us, the God who loves us unconditionally, the God who is for us, not against us. And as we take communion today as family, may we know afresh the power of the cross in our lives. May we know afresh what it is to be known and loved and forgiven. In your name we ask this, Jesus. Amen. If you've got children in the room, this is a beautiful opportunity today to take communion as a family. Obviously, they're normally out in NLK, but the stations are open. Please feel free. We're taking the bread to remember the body of Christ, and we take a little cup of juice to remember his blood. But they're open now. And let's just have a time of sharing communion together before we sing one final song.